Okay, so basically, when you're talking to physicians, they enter into the visa and immigration process in 4 ways. So I'm going to go over those 4 different ways. The first way that they participate in the immigration process is on J1 residency. And then that's why they need a J1 waiver, because anytime anyone comes in on a J1, they're subject to a 2-year home residency requirement. And then after that, then they can participate in the H1B, then the green card, which everyone wants to get, and then citizenship. There is another way, if they enter on J1 residency, that they can also temporarily bypass the 2-year home residency requirement, which is the O1 visa, but they'll eventually need to get a J1 waiver, and then they would normally go through green card process and citizenship. Now, the other process that some physicians enter the U.S. on is on the H1B residency program. And whether they enter on H1B or J1 residency depends upon the residency program itself. So it's basically up to that own residency program on whether or not they accept H1Bs or J1s. They enter on an H1B, then they will have to change to an H1B change of employer after the residency, or if they're married to a U.S. citizen, they could apply for a marriage-based green card and then apply for citizenship. And Canadian physicians, they don't have to go through the residency program, so they can skip that. But if they apply for H1B, they need to pass the USMLEs 1, 2, or 3, and then they can apply for permanent residency and then citizenship. So I'm going to talk in detail now about the first process that's very popular, the H1B residency program, and then how that would move consecutively into an H1B change of employer. So if physicians complete a H1B residency program, then they could apply at a healthcare facility under an H1B after the residency program. And what you want to look for is the H1B is good for 6 years. So they will have used some of that 6-year time period up in the residency, and then you'll see how much time they have left after they've completed the residency. There are some exceptions to the 6-year limit, and I'm going to go into that into detail. And another thing to be mindful of is that in the residency programs, oftentimes those are cap exempt H1B visas, and when they apply for a new H1B, they will have to apply for a cap subject H1B. So for a cap subject H1B, you apply April 1st, 2014, which will be this year, for an October 1st, 2014 start date. And there's only 65,000 H1Bs issued a year. They will be most likely used up on the first of the year if it's anything like what happened last year. And I think that the H1Bs will be used up the first day because the economy is improving. So I don't see why it would not be used up. So that means that right now is a good time for people to start preparing for the H1B process to file on April 1st, 2014. Some other exemptions to the H1B cap are the Conrad 30 program. If someone's in a Conrad 30 program, you don't have to worry about the H1B cap. If they're in a H1B already, just a normal H1B program, not, let's say, a residency program that's cap exempt, then they can change employers and not worry about the H1B cap. If they're extending their H1B, you don't have to worry about that either. Another little trick is if they're working for, let's say you have someone who is working for a cap exempt H1B employer, if they are working for that employer, you can also have that person work for another employer at the same time and not worry about the H1B cap, and that's known as concurrent employment.